After the last lesson, you should have a certain understanding of how to use two classic low-level React APIs. They are React Creative Element and React DOM Client Create Root. You may think that they are a bit hard to use. So in this lesson, I'm going to introduce you another way. Do you remember in the last lesson, we started by writing a root div inside the body? That is this piece of code. And all the subsequent operations were done on this root div, right? Now, think about it. Could we also create this root div using the React APIs we learned in the last lesson, instead of writing it directly in the body tag? Please pause the video and try to implement it. Okay, let's do it together. We can use JavaScript to do this. Let me first comment out this root div. At this point, the content on the page disappears, and when you open the console, you'll see an error because the browser can't find the root element now. Now, let's rewrite the code to create this root div in the body. We can remove getElementById since there's no longer this element now. Const root equals createElement. I wanted to create a div tag. Give it an ID root. For the children, I want the children be another div with the text content Hello React. Actually, it is this part here, right? So this children is another React virtual DOM. Is this element? Then don't forget, this time the React root should be document.body, and we should re-render root. And don't forget to put the definition of element before root, where it be used. Cool, we made it. But now, think about this situation. If the element contains other elements, for example, an h1 tag, then I can write createElement again, like this. Const title createElement. This time type is h1 prob now and children hello React. Then I need to put this title inside the element. Good, I've successfully created a nested structure. But here's the issue. Don't you think when you read this code, it's hard to immediately understand the structure? You need to think in your mind, oh, inside the root there's a div, and inside the div there's an h1, blah blah blah. It's okay with just 2 or 3 levels, right? But the more layers there are, the more confusing it gets. Of course, we can directly write these child elements inside the parent elements like this. This structure is a bit clearer because it's easier to see the nesting, but still it's somewhat complex. Is there a simpler way? Wouldn't it be great if we could write it like HTML tags? It would be easier to write and the structure would be clearer. Now, let me introduce the main topic of today's lesson: how to rewrite this code using JSX. I'll show you how to rewrite it in this lesson, and in the next several lessons, we will go deeper to discuss the syntax and the usage. Now, watch how I do it. I don't need these pieces of code now. I'll assign the HTML structure to the element. Div, then another div, then h1 hello React. Give it ID root. Then the object to render should be element, right? Now, let's see what happens. The browser doesn't display anything, and our HTML code is not rendered on the page. What's going on? Let me explain. You should know that in JavaScript, you can't directly write HTML tag structures, right? You can only create or modify HTML nodes through DOM manipulation. And the content inside the script tag is treated as a JavaScript file. So the browser doesn't recognize the HTML structure written directly like this. That's why we need a translator to convert these HTML tags into JavaScript code that the browser understands. This translator is Babel. You can import Babel like this. I'll include the Babel script link in the video description. According to Babel's documentation, we also need to add a type attribute to this script tag, which should be text Babel, and change the module type's name to data type instead of type. Okay, let's witness the magic. Save the file. Now, the page should successfully render our HTML structure. Finally, I'll place the code for the Hello React example written in 3 different ways together, so we can compare them. Isn't the JSX version clearly much shorter and more readable? And since React uses virtual DOM technology, it has many other advantages, which we'll explore in the next lesson. Thank you for watching, and in the next lesson, we'll discuss the virtual DOM and the real DOM. See you in the next one.